Hello, and welcome to the Transformation Project, a podcast and community for women who are looking to transform into the best version of themselves, no matter where they're at. A place where you can listen, learn, and laugh along with us as we dive deep into different topics to help you live a happier, healthier, and more fulfilled life. Remember, we are all learning here together, and therefore the content and opinions of the hosts and our guests should not be taken as medical advice. Please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Transformation Project. I'm so excited because I invited along an incredible woman who is a very special friend of mine. Her name is Sharon Iseppi, and we asked to speak with her because she's recently completed the 75 Hard. Now, I'm not sure if many of you have heard about what 75 Hard is, but we're going to go into that in this conversation. But some other things and some other reasons why I was really wanting to share Sharon to share her story is because she's a busy woman. She has 3 kids. She works full time. She has her business. She always has so many things happening. She's recently completed an iron health qualification. Like there are so many things happening, and this woman just continues to just push through and kick all these incredible goals. So I would really like to welcome you, Sharon, today to our podcast, and I guess get you to share a little bit of your story first, a little bit of your backstory first, so people can understand a bit more about who you are.
Hey, thanks. Well, thanks for having me, firstly.
Welcome.
Welcome. A bit about me is I just turned 50 not long ago. So I decided to challenge myself a little bit more than the norm or what I'm comfortable with doing. So my past, I've really just sort of taken day by day. I never really fully appreciated life or did things that sort of lit me up. I was always the person that was there for other people. So that's my thing. I just love to help others. So I was always giving from a half empty cup. So
I think a lot of women can relate to that, huh?
Definitely, and we go through these cycles in life. When I was single, I was career orientated and I focused on career, and then I moved to marriage, and then I moved to kids and family, and then my family took up all of my time. My kids, I gave 100%, actually more than likely 400% of myself to them and never to me. And when I sort of hit 50, I sort of did that whole self-realization of what am I doing for me? So I started to then look at how I could challenge myself to make me a better person.
I love that. I love that so much, and I agree with Yvette. A lot of women out there, we spend so much of our lives and we lose that sense of identity with who we are because we become so committed to our families and our careers and everything else. And then at the end of the day, we kind of wake up and go, oh, there's what's left of me. So talk us through, your most recent, like I said, you've done so many incredible things, but most recently, the 75 Hard. Tell us about that.
Okay, so for those that don't know what 75 Hard is, I like to think of it more like an Ironman for the brain. It's a mental challenge, realistically, where you've got to do 75 days, and there are a number of tasks that you have to complete every day for those 75 days. So you've got to follow a diet of your choice and 0 cheat meals. There's no takeaway food allowed in those 75 days. You have to work out twice a day for 45 minutes, and one of those sessions needs to be outside, and they can't be back to back. So no cheating there and getting in an hour and a half. You have to drink 4 litres of water a day, and for my American friends, that's 1 gallon. No alcohol for the 75 days. You also need to read 10 pages of a self-development book every single day. And then you need to take a progress picture every single day. So it is quite a mental challenge in relation to that, because I thought about doing 75 hard about a year ago. And I remember talking to somebody, and I'd actually psyched myself out of it. Like I knew that had I committed to it, I was going to fail, because in my mind, I was already going, it's not possible. Like I can't do all of that and everything else that I'm doing. So I wasn't mentally or from a mindset perspective prepared back then. But I did eventually come and decide to go, you know what? There are so many people out there that do more than what I do, that I'm just fooling myself. And that if they can do everything, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, right? So why can't I do it? And that was my mindset change. That was my aha moment. And I went, okay, I'm just going to do it, you know. And I did. So I started and obviously, thankfully, finished the 75 days. And definitely, yeah, there's some really challenging moments throughout those 75 days, but not necessarily the things I thought were going to be challenging. So for me, yeah, the exercise, I thought there was just, if anything was going to break me, that was going to be it. And it didn't. And funnily enough, I drank 4 litres of water a day prior to doing 75 hard, but towards the end, that's what I was challenged with the most. So the things that I would normally do, and you know, the 11:30 at night, and I'd be like, oh my God, I still got 1.5 litres of water to drink.
If you forget or don't do one thing, any one of those things on one of the days, what happens?
You have to go back to day one.
You go back to day one.
Start again. And
that would be so upsetting.
Yeah. And, you know, you might go out one night, you know, we all have lives. And, you know, there was one night I went out for dinner with my husband and some friends, and we didn't get home until 11:30. And then I was like, bugger, I still haven't done an exercise. So, you know, I have to get on, and luckily I've got a treadmill at home. So and it was an indoor exercise, thankfully, that I could do, because I'd done my outside, and I just jumped on the treadmill for 45 minutes and also read my self-development book, because I hadn't done either of those things. So you become a multitasker. That's the reality of it sometimes. But yeah, so...
I love it. It's so inspiring, Sharon, because I'm the same as you. I've been thinking about doing it for so long, and it's been, oh, I'm breastfeeding, oh, I'm pregnant, oh, I'm breastfeeding again. And now I'm at this point where it's like, Jessica, you're just going to have to do it. Like, there's always going to be something. So I'm doing it with a whole bunch of people at February 1st. We've set our date. We have a group of us. But you did it alone, did you not?
I did it alone.
So I guess I wanted to get your, what did you do to kind of keep you motivated? And what was the hardest? Was there a threshold, you know, like once you get past, I don't know, day 35, was it kind of like, well, I'm all in already? Or
no, funnily enough, you're more all in at the beginning. I think the hardest part for me was maybe day 65 and on, because you're so close to the end, and yeah, you sort of become complacent sometimes. So what I thought I was going to do, because I'm not a morning person. So when I first started, I was like doing my exercise. I'd get up first thing in the morning and I'd go for a walk outside. And that way I knew that at least I only had a 45-minute session to complete, and I could do it inside if I needed to. I wasn't worried about it. But I'm not a morning person. And you know, I've read many books and self-development over the time of, you know, the, I'm just trying to think of the owl, I can't think of his name now, who does the Miracle Morning. And I've tried it, and it's one of the things that just hasn't suited me. And I started the program doing that. And I started the 75 days doing the mornings. And I just found that you know what, it wasn't working. So I just switched things around to suit me and to suit my lifestyle more. And I would do my, morning reading instead. And I'd get home from work, I would do exercise straight away. Then I'd do dinner with everybody. I'd prepare for myself for what I needed to do for the next day or whatever that might have been. And then a bit later on, I would then go outside for a walk. So I was doing both of my exercises till about halfway through towards the end, both in the evening. There were the odd time where I would do them during the day on a weekend, say, but majority was definitely of an evening. So you have to just work your own groove with things, and you don't have to do it the same as what everybody's doing. So as much as I didn't have the motivation of somebody else, I found my own way to motivate myself so that I would actually complete everything, and it was that exercise session that I do. I knew that was when I took my photo, my indoor exercise session. I'd get dressed, take a photo, and just try and sort of compact things on top of one another, so you've got that routine, so you're actually getting into some sort of rhythm. Would be my suggestion to anybody trying to do 75 hard or any sort of challenge, is try and build a routine on top of a routine, so that you're consistently doing it. And that could be, brushing your teeth, for example, and as soon as you finish brushing your teeth, whatever the next thing is that you do, then add it to the things that you're already consistently doing every single day in your life, to build those habits.
Amazing. And so from everything that you did, of each of those little tasks that you did, which one do you think made the most impact on you, or most change in you over those 75 days, do you think?
Definitely the exercise, because I was very sporadic with my exercise previous to that. So yes, I definitely noticed a huge difference. Now, I didn't lose massive weight loss. So people think that 75 hard is a big weight loss program. It so isn't. I definitely lost centimeters, but from a scale perspective, didn't even go there with it, because it didn't really change a lot for me. But I know physically my health from that exercise perspective of being able to do things like I started to be able to run again, something I haven't done in a long time, because I was building up on, just from doing gentle walks to then being able to run. I want to be able to do a marathon. So, it's leading me up into that. So that was my biggest noticeable impact from doing 75 hard for me, was how much fitter I am from doing all of that exercise.
Has there been anything that you're now continue doing, or was it like day 76, you were like, done all of these things, never drinking 4 liters of water again? No, I know you still do, but like
I still drink the water. I think I might have had one drink since I finished 75 hard back on the 21st of November. So it's been a month. So I haven't really been drinking any alcohol. Look, I'm a self-development junkie, so that's never going to change for me. But the great thing is I've gone back to Audible. So that is the one thing with the challenge, is that you actually have to read a book. So Audible is not... That's out.
Like physically, you have to physically have a book in your hand, a paper copy of a book. Yeah.
You're hurting me here with the no takeout and the physical book, because I'm an Audible. Oh dear. Okay. All right.
I was an Audible person too. But there is something about, because you're reading so much, there is something about reading a physical book and being able to, if you're a highlighter or an underliner, because it is self-development, so it's not fiction.
True.
Are reading self-development, so there are always key things that you'll pick up that a physical book just gives you something that you can potentially always go back to, where you've something that's flagged for you as really important. So so
there's something different about reading something on a piece of paper than listening to it, especially with self-development books. Like I'm an avid reader and I'm a speed reader. However, for some reason with self-development books, I'll often have to read the same sentence a few times. And I find with Audible, it just goes too quickly. And I'm like, oh, what was that? And it's already gone and I can't find it again. It just becomes frustrating. So there is definitely something about being able to look at a page. And for me, so I started doing 75 hard and I tapped out. And it was the taking the photo thing. I kept forgetting the taking the photo thing. Just the simplest stuff. And it seemed to me that it was more a discipline challenge, because in so many areas of our life these days, we're completely undisciplined, I guess. And so it's just getting back to that. You've set something for yourself and you have to just be disciplined.
Yeah.
Clearly, I'm undisciplined. So that's the challenge again. It's to get into that routine and the discipline of it.
Yeah. And I think for me as well, I'm definitely not the most disciplined person. However, I started to, as you've said earlier, Kaz, studied as a health coach. So I certainly got into a rhythm of being able to do things and time schedule and block things out in my calendar. So I think that helped me as far as that's concerned, being disciplined as far as, knowing that you've got 45 minutes, where in my calendar have I got 45 minutes, and being able to schedule and plan a little bit for this, because I had to do that with my health study, because as you said, I worked full time. I have, a network marketing job, and, I was doing 75 hard. I was still studying whilst I was doing 75 hard too, because that was only just coming to the end of finishing that. So there was so much going on in my life that if I wasn't time chunking and putting things into my calendar, there is no way that I would have actually completed, some of those things. So I think that sort of gave me some of the discipline and the grit and working to deadlines, because you have to. But I was also determined to not fail and not let myself down. And I think that was my big thing this time round, that it was about me and it wasn't about anybody else. And I just got to that realization was, did I want to be the person that said that, you're a loser, you can never commit, you can't do anything? Do you know what I mean? These are the things that go through our minds.
Yeah. I wish people could see all our faces when Sharon said that, because we just started laughing, because Sharon is the least losery person probably that we know.
But we all have that devil on our shoulder, right?
The voice in the head, yeah.
Yeah, and that the angel in the other, like it's. And there were, I'm not trying to make light of the 75 hard, because it certainly does take fortitude to actually get through it. There are times where you do want to go, what, like I've done 65 days, I've done really, really well. But then deep down, then but it's a 75-day challenge, it's not 65 days. It would have been called 65 days if that was it. So, yeah, it really is a mindset.
I feel like that's your superpower though, Sharon. I just honestly, when I look at you and I see, and this is my perspective, right, all of the time that I've known you, I see you commit to something and you see it through. And I know personally that I put my hand up for lots of things, and then I get to the stage I'm like, ain't got nothing left about. Whereas for you, and one of the things that I admire the most about you is you're like, I commit. And you do, and it potentially it's the devil on your shoulder. Maybe mine's not mean enough, because mine's just like, yeah, have a break. You're so busy already. So, is it? What do you think it is for you? Is it that voice on your shoulder? Is it something else? Like,
I don't know. You know what? I think I'm a pleaser. Like I said earlier, I really want to help people. So I'm the yes person. I always say yes to everything. So that's actually not necessarily a positive thing, right? Because you can take on too much. And there are times where I go, oh man, but I have committed and I hate to let anybody down. And the first person that I'm going to let down generally is me. So everybody else sees this, that, yeah, she says yes and she commits and does all of this stuff, but there are certain things for myself that I do commit and I don't follow through with. So,
it's easier to let yourself down quietly than anybody else.
100%. So, you just don't get vocal. You don't tell people, right? And that way they don't know that you haven't committed to something, or that you didn't follow through with what it was that you said you were going to do. So that's the one thing 75 has also given me, is the ability to go, I can do it, and I can put myself first and commit to things for me.
Did that help you, following it through, the fact that you actually announced to a number of us as you were doing it, you publicly announced what you were doing, and so we were all aware, and when we saw you, we'd be like, what day are you on? Does that help kind of keep you that accountability to a degree?
Yeah, it does. And that was what I did as well with the 75 Hard app that you can get when you're doing it. And you don't have to do all of the app, but I did because it had a posting function in there. So every single day I posted my day to Instagram. So that sort of was part of my accountability, definitely. And I knew that would happen at the end of each day. And I would feel good about it. Another day completed, and then you're just watching the calendar tick through of these days and thinking, wow, like I've gone this far. I didn't know if I was going to be able to, but as I said, I also had this mindset of there's no way I'm giving up on me this time either. So yeah,
I feel with you posting all those days, I felt it went super fast. But was that the case for you?
Yeah, actually, like it really didn't feel like 75 days. So what's that, 2.5 months? Yeah, thereabouts. Yeah, it did. It did feel like it went really, really quickly. And I don't know. Maybe it was because I was just really busy in life doing the 75 and that and work and everything else that was going on, that it went really quickly. But yeah, it didn't feel like 75 days, that's for certain. So, which I'm very thankful for.
Can I ask another question? So in relation to completing the 75 Hard, and I guess a lot of the mindset and work that you're doing and filling yourself up, I know that you're coaching as well and supporting women to be their best selves. Like, have you found that doing that course or doing the 75 Hard plus all the other things that you're doing now, like they're really adding value to you to allow you to add value to other people, right?
Definitely, because, it's always easier when you can walk in someone else's shoes, when people are having the same struggles that you've had, to be able to talk them through from a real, basis of understanding exactly where they're potentially at, or where you've been, to know that there is light on the other side, that you can actually push through, and there is so much that we as people and as women can do that we really don't give ourselves enough credit for.
You've been through quite a health journey and sort of health transformation over the past couple of years too, haven't you? Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so I definitely hit rock bottom, I suppose, from, a personal perspective of my own health a couple of years ago. And one of those was obviously the scale. None of us ever want to hop on a scale and be over 100 kilos. And that sort of really hit home for me as to the quality of life being around, long term from a health perspective, and, physically what that was like. I was having pains in the chest, and I was actually never said anything to anybody because I was actually really scared that I might have had cancer, because I'm an ex-smoker, even though I'd given up, I don't even know how long it's been now, 8 years, something like that. But, all of these stories that you tell yourself, and I didn't want to go to the doctors because I was afraid to go to the doctor, because what if I was right? So thankfully I I did eventually go to the doctors to find out that obviously I don't have cancer, thankfully, and that actually I was iron deficient, right? And, you know, sometimes we don't know about some of the symptoms that come with some of these deficiencies and inflammations that the body has. So I went on this health transformation through Kaz, actually, who catching up with coffee, and she had this product that she was using, and funnily enough, as we were talking about it, and this is the Juice Plus products, we were talking about it for my son and Kaz's son, from an acne perspective, and you know, and potentially that maybe Daniel, you know, he wasn't the healthiest of kids from a diet perspective of what he ate, and obviously nor was I. I was 110 kilos, right? Let's be real. I obviously wasn't eating the healthiest of meals, and I thought, you know, well, why not try this product, you know, for Daniel? And I paid for the product for me, and Daniel got it for free. And I was like, you know what, how many, you know, diet programs have I tried? How many other, you know, supplements have I used and spent money on that are still in the cupboard? And I thought, you know what, in the same mindset though, I'll just get it. If it doesn't work, I just don't have to buy it again. And so, you know, I committed, and I was just taking it, and I didn't actually notice a difference myself until one of my work colleagues had actually made mention of how much energy I had. And we were just going into COVID, right? So we were all working from home. We were in isolation, and I'm bouncing around, and I'm laughing and smiling and everything else. And she's like, "What are you taking?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she's going, "You know, like you're different." And I had to think about it, and I was like, well, the only thing different that I'm taking is the Juice Plus stuff. So then I started to think about it, and I started to look into it more, and the program that went around it, and sort of researched into it a little more, started to do some of the challenges that come with the program. Anyway, and all of a sudden I said I had this energy, and then I was like, well, I've got energy. Maybe I can start to exercise. And remembering that at that point I was massively obese. I had an ankle injury that was a chronic injury from years ago that never sort of healed, and I used it as an excuse for so many things for not exercising. And I went, you know what, I'll just do 5 minutes of exercise a day on the treadmill. You know, start small, it's baby steps. And I didn't say anything to anybody. I was just doing this, and, you know, the 5 minutes turned to 10 minutes, you know, to 20 minutes, to half an hour, to, you know, an hour of walking, and the weight just started to fall off. You know, I definitely was, I didn't drink water. You know, I was drinking so much water. So all of these things were starting to change, because my body was obviously starting to crave some, you know, the healthy, nutritious food that was actually working for my body. And so over the course of, I think it was a year and a half, I lost 30 kilos. And trust me, I've fluctuated from there, and sort of I've hit a bit of a plateau in relation to that, but I've also relaxed myself with things that I do, and you know, being, as we've talked about, doing so much, and you know, working full time, you know, 10 hours a day, studying, side business, you know, all of these things. You know, occasionally I let myself down still, but the product that I take, being the Juice Plus, has certainly bridged a gap for me, and it certainly creates, I think, a lot of the energy that's enabled me to be able to do a lot of the things that I now do. I truly don't believe prior to taking it that I would be where I am today. I wouldn't have done 75 hard. I can tell you that now, like hands down. There is physically no way I would have been capable of doing it. But even better than that was that I'd gone to the doctors recently, just, you know, I turned 50, as I said, so just health check. And he's already said to me, whatever you're doing, do not stop. Your internal body is of a 23-year-old. Now, I'm still considered overweight, okay, for my height and everything else. Because at first he actually made me double take the test, because he actually was really surprised with what he saw. And at first I was a bit scared, because I thought when he made me do it again that there was something wrong. And that's when he came back and he went, Sharon, I haven't seen this with somebody that looks like you, from an external perspective. So, internally I'm really, really healthy, and, and I just love it. So I'm loving life.
You are
amazing.
Yeah, you really are. And you're like, whenever we see you, you're just glowing. You always just look so beautifully put together, no matter how much you're running around and stressing. And we're so excited because we have another one of those free challenges coming up in the new year, right?
Yeah.
We do. So for a lot of people who are out there who do want to perhaps make some changes to their health, like Sharon, part of the program, which is completely free, is some health challenges that you're able to hop on board with. That's just that little kickstart to, the first 5 minutes of walking, the first liter of water that you drink, and the first time you go to bed before 11 and then before 10:30 or whatever it is. There's those tiny little baby steps that put you on the way.
I haven't quite mastered that one.
No. I was going to say, I know that's one of the things I struggle with. I'm trying really hard, and it's always been a struggle for me to stop working and stop doing stuff and going to bed. And often I'll see Sharon is still out there.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's would be my thing that I would say to anybody is, there's these challenges that are out there. If you truly don't feel that you can actually commit to something that is like 75 hard, find something that you can do. There's many people out there that have other challenges that, that are more suitable to some people. And like I said, make your own challenge. Why do you have to follow someone else's? If you can only do 5 minutes of exercise a day and maybe give yourself a challenge to do that every day, you're definitely going to feel the rewards of that, even just doing 5 minutes, if that's all you're physically capable of. And before you know it, you'll be doing more, just like I was.
You're an absolute rock star, Sharon. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us today. I correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like a summary, the key things are really accountability. So being accountable for the decisions that you make, and making a public declaration was really helpful for you. Yeah. Committing to do something for yourself and making yourself a priority.
Yeah, definitely.
But also one of the last things that I got as well was, with, say, for example, your doctor's results, going, wow, somebody that looks like you, I've never seen that internal physical health coincide. And from a health perspective, I think one of the things that we are as a community are so passionate about is health is not really what you look like on the outside. Health is that energetics. It is that, the vitality and all of those beautiful things that true health is. It's not an external perspective necessarily, which is really cool. Thank you again, Sharon. I really, really love speaking to you. You always make me feel so motivated and inspired, and I'm looking forward to 2022 and can't wait to hear what you're going to be doing next.
There's always a next, right? As I said, self-development junkie, there's always
watch
the next
this
thing.
space.
Yeah, but thank you for having me on. It's been great talking to you, and I hope that there's somebody out there that takes something from it. But I think just to end, as like you've said, Kaz, is that society puts this image on everybody that you need to look a certain way to be healthy, and it's so not true, and that we are so hard on ourselves sometimes. And that, just be true to you.
Is there a way that people can connect with you, Sharon, if they'd like to, I guess, find out more or get some support from you?
Yeah, definitely. I am Sharon Iseppi on Instagram. IAM SHARON ISEPPI. Facebook is Sharon Bates -Iseppi. So yeah, on either of those platforms, you can find me.
If people want some help with programs next year, right? 2020.
Yeah, definitely. Or, as I said, one conversation can change it all, really.
Well, thank you
so much, Sharon. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our very last episode of the Transformation Project for 2021. We will see you all in the new year. Bye. Thank you for listening in to this episode of the Transformation Project. The Transformation Project is not just a podcast, we're also a community. We're a collective of like-minded people all around the world seeking to live their best life and raise each other up. We're looking to support you, set goals, get healthier, connect with yourself and others at a deeper level, and better understand yourself and the world around you. We're always looking to link arms with like-minded people wanting to create more out of life. You can connect with us via our website, which is www.thetransformationproject.net.au. Email us at support@thetransformationproject.net.au, or simply listen in to one of our podcast episodes, which can be found on all podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can even watch some of our episodes on our YouTube channel, simply called The Transformation Project. Please like and subscribe to make sure you hear all the incredible shows and guests we have lined up. If you have any feedback or any comment, we would love to hear those, as well as any ideas or guests that you think we should be interviewing in future. Thank you for joining us on this episode of The Transformation Project.